The forest did not welcome visitors anymore. It swallowed them. Ancient trees leaned inward, locking the sky away, while fog crawled across the ground like something alive. The air felt heavy, unmoving, as if time itself had chosen to stop here. Moonlight struggled to reach the rusted railway tracks beneath the mist, revealing a place forgotten by journeys, memories, and sound. Nothing moved, and yet everything felt watched. Deep within this silence rested Thomas. Once bright blue, once full of motion, now abandoned on broken tracks that no longer led anywhere. Rust spread across his body like slow decay, vines gripping his wheels as nature claimed him piece by piece. He did not speak. He did not move. Years pressed down on his metal frame, heavier than any load he had ever carried. A closer look revealed something unsettling. Thomas was not damaged by impact or violence. He was worn by waiting. His paint chipped softly, exposing cold steel beneath. Fog gathered on his surface like unshed tears, sliding down without sound. His eyes remained half-closed, tired, as if rest had gone on far too long. The silence here wasn't empty. It was listening. From a distance, Thomas looked impossibly small. Towering trees surrounded him, roots breaking through the tracks beneath his wheels. Fallen leaves buried the rails that once carried purpose forward. Moonlight reflected faintly off his rusted body, reminding the forest that something here had once mattered. Now time crept slowly, reclaiming every inch without mercy or pause. Then, something changed. A narrow beam of light cut through the fog. Soft, cautious, searching. It traced along Thomas's side, revealing dents, scratches, and years of neglect etched deep into his frame. Shadows shifted with the mist, dancing across cold metal. For the first time in years, warmth touched the scene, and with it came a question the forest had buried. Hanging from Thomas's buffer was a small wooden sign, cracked and barely holding together. Moss crept along its edges, swallowing faded letters carved into the wood. The words were unreadable now, yet their presence felt deliberate, like a message meant to survive longer than memory itself. Thomas stood behind it, unmoving, as if guarding a truth no one returned to uncover. Without warning, the moment shifted. Thomas appeared as he once was, cleaner, brighter, his blue paint reflecting ghostly images of smiling children. Their laughter made no sound, yet it echoed through his metal frame. The forest remained unchanged, watching silently as memory and reality blended together. Warmth returned briefly, then faded just as quickly. The fog thickened again, pressing low against the tracks. Forest sounds vanished into nothingness. Thomas seemed heavier now, more exhausted than before. Rust deepened its grip, moonlight dimmed slightly, and the air tightened with quiet tension. Nothing moved, yet something felt closer. The calm was no longer peaceful, it was waiting. Far in the distance, a faint hiss echoed through the trees. Not loud, not clear, but enough to disturb the stillness. The rails beneath Thomas trembled almost imperceptibly. Leaves quivered, fog rippled. The forest did not react, but Thomas did.
Look how shiny.
Somewhere deep within him, something old and forgotten began to stir. The forest grew quieter than before, as if silence itself had pulled back to watch. Fog slid lower along the ground, wrapping gently around Thomas's wheels. His blue paint remained faded, vines unmoving, moonlight steady overhead. Loneliness pressed harder now, not sudden, but familiar. The kind that settles in after years of being unseen, unheard, and slowly forgotten. A cold breeze moved through the trees, shifting fallen leaves and casting slow shadows across Thomas's face. Brief highlights revealed patience carved into metal by time alone. His eyes reflected the movement without urgency. Nothing demanded action here. Yet beneath the stillness, tension deepened, born not from danger but from waiting far too long for something to change. For a moment, memory returned. Thomas imagined himself pulling carriages through endless tracks, steam rising into open skies. Back then, darkness meant distance, not fear. The forest refused to fade, anchoring him firmly in the present. Memory and reality overlapped, intensifying the ache. Not because he was abandoned, but because he remembered what purpose once felt like. The camera drifted downward to his wheels, thick rust layered over steel. Moss grew patiently between spokes, untouched by urgency. Dew formed slowly, clinging to metal like time refusing to release its hold. Fallen leaves lay undisturbed beneath him. Above, faint blue paint survived stubbornly, reminding the forest that stillness was not how his story began. The view traced upward along Thomas's body, revealing a boiler scarred by years, steam pipes corroded yet intact. Fog curled around his shape, moving as if guided by breath he no longer released. The lighting never changed, but the emotional weight increased, not through movement, but through everything that refused to move. Somewhere within the silence, laughter seemed to exist without sound. It wasn't heard, only felt. Reflected faintly in Thomas's eyes like distant echoes trapped in metal. The forest remained indifferent, moonlight steady, fog slow. Nostalgia wrapped itself around the scene, not as comfort, but as proof of something that would never fully return. Thomas's expression softened. His eyes glistened slightly, as if holding memories too fragile to release. Rust cracked his face, paint chipped away, yet something gentle survived beneath it all. The fog stayed consistent, vines unmoved. Emotion deepened quietly, making the stillness feel heavier than any noise ever could. Ahead, the railway track stretched into darkness, broken, uneven, swallowed by soil. Roots split through wood and iron alike. Thomas remained behind, watching a path that once carried him forward. Moonlight brushed his metal softly, revealing a journey that never reached its ending. The distance felt infinite, even though nothing lay far away. Then far beyond the trees, a shape shifted, slow, indistinct, not yet threatening. It moved between trunks, partially consumed by fog. The forest did not react. Colors remained cold and unchanged. But something unfamiliar had entered the story, quietly, deliberately, and whatever it was, it did not belong to memory. The distant shape paused between the trees, barely visible through layers of fog. It neither advanced nor retreated. Moonlight remained steady, the forest unchanged. Thomas stayed motionless on the tracks, rust and vines untouched. Yet the air felt different now, tighter, heavier, like the forest itself recognized something it had hoped would never return. Behind Thomas, the trees appeared deeper, darker. Trunks stood like silent witnesses as fog wove slowly through them. The shape shifted again, clearer now but still refusing to reveal its form. Cold blue tones held firm. Unease grew quietly, not through sound or motion, but through the refusal to explain what waited there. Thomas's eyes moved almost imperceptibly, not fear, instinct. Something in the fog reflected movement back at him. His worn blue face remained calm, patience surviving beneath rust. The forest stayed silent, but suspense tightened. Time no longer felt abandoned. It felt aware. The rails beneath Thomas trembled faintly, subtle enough to question reality. Loose leaves quivered. Fog rippled across the ground like disturbed water. Nothing else moved. The environment remained visually unchanged, yet anticipation rose sharply, carried by details too small to ignore, too deliberate to dismiss. A low metallic creak echoed from far down the track. Not loud, not sudden, just present. Moonlight did not react. Trees did not sway. Thomas remained still, but the sound settled into the forest like a warning spoken long after it should have been heard. The shape advanced slightly, tracing the tree line. Through the fog, a muted hint of red flickered, restrained, uncertain. The forest structure held firm, Thomas's blue and rust tones untouched. Tension tightened slowly, like something choosing patience over force, observation over confrontation. Thomas's expression changed, not panic, concern. His eyes widened just enough to reveal years of innocence and endurance. He did not move. He did not resist. Fog brushed past his wheels. The emotional contrast sharpened, gentleness facing something shaped by a darker time. A wide view framed Thomas small against the endless forest. Trees towered above him, roots and shadows stretching deep into the mist. The red presence now felt larger, heavier, though still obscured. The cold color grading remained consistent. Loneliness expanded into vulnerability. Fog thickened around the tracks, wrapping Thomas without hiding him. Forest sounds vanished completely, as if silence had chosen a side. His blue paint dulled beneath the mist, rust steady and familiar. Emotional pressure reached its breaking point, yet nothing broke. And that restraint made what followed inevitable. The fog shifted slowly, thinning just enough to reveal more of the shape ahead. Metal edges caught faint moonlight, sharp and uneven. The hint of red grew clearer now, no longer accidental. The forest remained unchanged, almost indifferent. Thomas stayed still, but recognition stirred within him, a feeling older than fear, heavier than surprise. The red figure stood partially revealed between the trees. Scarred metal reflected years of neglect, shaped differently than Thomas's own. This was not quiet decay. It was damage hardened by resentment. Its presence carried weight, not through movement, but through the way the forest seemed to tighten around it. Time had not softened this engine. It had sharpened it. The forest slowly released its grip. Trees no longer felt like barriers, but witnesses. Fog drifted upward instead of closing in. Both engines remained still, abandoned yet present, broken yet aware. Moonlight softened across metal and rust alike. Nothing had been repaired, nothing had moved forward. Yet the weight of isolation eased, as if the tracks themselves had finally accepted their silence. Some stories are not about movement, but meaning. If this journey through silence, memory, and forgotten tracks moved you, let us know. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more cinematic stories hidden between shadows and sound. Because even abandoned paths have stories left to tell, and sometimes being found matters more than moving on.